Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of the Presentational Devices question. We're going to be going through a sample answer for this question today and thinking about the Lipsol advert and the Avril Lavigne article that we looked at in part 1. So what we did last time was we went through all of the different devices that were shown on the Lipsol advert. We described those devices and we began to think about why the designers had used those devices on the particular advert. We thought about the target audience as well. We did that for the Lipsol advert and we also did that for the Avril Lavigne advert. We discussed using a double bubble for your planning so that you could visually see which devices were used on both, and those would be the devices that you would compare in your answer. Then we thought about the text, the audience and the purpose, and we needed to establish who the audience of these two pieces were. Now, we thought about the Lipsol advert and obviously the colours and the devices that are used, and the product itself is so obviously aimed at a young female audience. And we also thought about the Avril Lavigne article, which is taken from a teenage magazine, so again, a similar audience of young females. We then discussed how we need to think about the purpose and effect of each one of those presentational features that we'd picked out using our fish and chip technique. And the next part that we needed to do was to begin to write our paragraphs. So the way I would structure the paragraphs for this answer is I would be using PEAL. So I would be using point, evidence, explain and link. And the way I would think about it is I would think about the point being answering the question, picking out the device, explaining how the device is used, so I'd be describing it as your quote effectively. You need to think about your purpose and your effect in the explain bit, and then your link is comparing it with another source, which is what the question asks you to do. So if we look at this paragraph structure in a little bit more detail, I would always start your answer off with the phrase, both items use presentational devices effectively. And the reason I would do that is because immediately you're telling the examiner that you know that you've got to compare those two sources using words of comparison, like in contrast to or similarly. So the word both is a word of comparison, so I would always start my answer like that. Then your first sentence is source 1 uses the device of. So you just need to insert the device that you've chosen. So you just explain it to the examiner that you know that that particular device is a presentational feature that has been used. Then you describe how that device is used in the source that you're discussing. So you might want to say the colours used are reds, greens and oranges, or if it's about a photograph and it's big on the page, you might want to say the photograph dominates the page and shows Avril Lavigne with a confident stance staring straight at the camera. So you need to show the examiner in detail what the actual device is doing on that source that you've been given. Okay, then you need to think about the purpose. So why would the designers have used that particular presentational feature? So you need to explore in detail why the designer has used that particular colour. So not the presentational feature itself, why designers use photographs or colours. You need to think about why have they used the colour red instead of the colour green. So what is the purpose of it? They've done it for a reason. They get paid a lot of money to design these things. So you need to think about why have they used that particular colour or photograph for the target audience that they're targeting the advert or the article at. Then you need to think about how that particular feature, whether it be a red colour or a photograph or a headline, how does that particular feature affect the reader? So what is it going to make the reader want to do? Is it going to make the reader want to buy the product? Is it going to make the reader want to read the whole article? Is it going to make the reader donate to charity? So you need to think about, will it persuade, advise or inform the reader? So what effect it will have. And then after you've done each of those stages for your source 1, you then have a linking phrase. So this is where your comparison comes in. So you need to think about, has source 2 also used the technique that you've just been describing? So if they've also used colour, you could just say, source 2 also uses the technique of colour. And then you would think about, have they used the same colours? If they've used the same colours, then you could say similarly, source 2 also uses the colours of red and pink. Okay, if they've used different colours, then you could use however, source 2 uses the colour green. Okay, so you need to have a linking phrase here in between your paragraph 1 and your paragraph 2, which is just a plain sentence of comparison between the two sources. And then once you've done that, you work your way back, okay, and you do the same 4-step process for source 2. So what is the device that's used? Describe the device, think about the purpose and the effect. So if we think about the Lipsol advert that we've just looked at, if we were to describe, say, the presentational feature of colour, we know that the advert uses colours of pinks, oranges, reds and yellows. They're the main colours on that advert. And they're clashing colours, they're very vibrant. Okay, so we would describe those colours in details, and we might want to say where on the page they've been used and how they've been used. Then we think about the purpose. Well, those colours are very feminine colours and they link directly with the female target audience. They're also very eye-catching, vibrant and exciting as well. They're not pale colours, they're not pastels, they're bold colours. Then we think about the effect of those colours. Now, for example, the part win on the advert is pink and yellow. Now, that highlights the most important parts of that advert. So you've got to think about why have they highlighted that win with those vibrant clashing colours. Now, I thought about, will this make the reader want to enter the competition because it appears exciting and unmissable? Okay, it makes those sections like win stand out really clearly. So you might have other ideas, but this is, just one connotation of those colours, and you can obviously offer alternative interpretations, and if you offer more than one, then the examiner will think, wow, definite top band student here. So if you can think of 2 purposes or effects, then that's fabulous. Right, so if we then think about the use of colour in source 2, the Avril Lavigne article, the source also uses pinks, oranges and reds, but the predominant colour is actually white if you look at it. Now, those colours also link with the female target audience, so that's a direct comparison you're making there. They're also very eye-catching, vibrant and exciting. Okay, but however, we would want to say, white is used in this. Okay, so white has connotations of positivity and coolness, and that links with Avril's image of, the cool biker chick. Okay, she's also wearing a plain white t-shirt, and that links with her tomboy image. So you need to think about these colours and what connotations they have. Now, young females, we know, generally aspire to be like their idols. So maybe the effect on the reader would be that, they want to be cool and attractive like Avril Lavigne, and they would want to read the article to see how she does that. So we've got clear, describe, purpose and effect. So this is just the planning stage of our answer. So then let's have a look at the start of an answer for this question. So what I've done is I've written a paragraph for source 1 and a paragraph for source 2, and I've colour coded it so that you can see which section is which. Okay, so like I said, I use the sentence at the beginning to make a direct comparison immediately. So I start off with both sources use presentational devices effectively. So all of the bits in green are my comparisons. Then I say source 1 uses the presentational device of colour to make it clear that the advert is aimed at a female audience. So that's where I tell the examiner I know that the device of colour has been used, and I can also explain how it's been used or why it's been used. The colours used include pink, orange and yellow, all of which are vibrant and bold. These colours contrast and clash with each other. Okay, so that is the actual purpose, that it's making you think about why have they used those particular colours. Okay, so I'm describing those colours in detail. I end it with making the advert stand out to the reader, so I've got a mix in that sentence of the description and the purpose. For example, the word win is written in pink on a yellow background creating a dynamic subheading. This ensures that the reader does not miss the purpose of the advert. So that's my purpose there in blue. The effect on the reader would be to enter the competition as the colours make it seem exciting and unmissable. The advert would be hard to miss when flicking through a magazine as the colours stand out clearly. Okay, so that's my first paragraph on source 1. Okay, then I come on to source 2. Now I say source 2 also uses the presentational device of colour. So that word also is my comparison. Similarly, again another word of comparison, it uses mainly feminine colours such as pink and orange, therefore appealing to its female target audience. So we've got a mix here of our description of the technique and the purpose. However, in contrast to source 1, the colour white is predominant throughout, so that's my comparison there. White has connotations of purity, coolness and positivity, all attributes a young female pop star would want to have. Indeed, the connotation of coolness links with the confident stance the singer holds in the main image. So I've thought about the purpose there and I've made it clear to the examiner that I understand what the connotation of white is and how it links with Avril Lavigne in that article. The target audience of the magazine, young females, often aspire to be like their idols, beautiful, confident and positive, and would instantly be drawn to read an article in which the person portrays these qualities. So that's my effect on the reader there. So I've done 2 paragraphs, one on source 1, one on source 2, using the same device, and then I just need to end with a comparison. So I say both sources use colour effectively to aim the text at their target audience, young females. So I've made it clear to the examiner that I understand that both sources have a target audience of young females. While source 1 aims to attract a reader to enter the competition using neon-like colours, source 2 engages the reader in the text in a more subtle way, using the colour white to emphasise the coolness of the artist in the article. So there I've explained what's the same and I've also said what's different because I've highlighted that source 2 has used the colour white. So that's just the start of my answer. In my next video I will provide a full sample answer for this question, so you can have a look at that and subscribe to the channel for that. Let's quickly just go through what you need to do for this question, and if you want to have a go at doing this answer, I think that would be great revision. So my top tips for question 4 on the AQA GCSE English and English language papers are to start your answer with the phrase both sources use presentational devices effectively. Pick out 3 devices from each source, okay? It's easier if you do a double bubble and see which ones use the same techniques, and then write 6 peel paragraphs. So you're doing 2 paragraphs for each technique. You need to comment on the purpose and effect of each technique, and you need to make sure that you compare using words of comparison. Okay, so if you want to see that sample answer for the presentational devices question, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can get that as a regular update. You can also follow me on Twitter at aceyourexams, and also head over to my website aceyourexams.wordpress.com for some free downloads. You can download the Avril Lavigne article and the Lipsell advert and have a go at answering this question. Thanks guys, speak to you soon.